We don't have a cold open. How do we make a cold open for this?
Are you recording right now?
Yeah.
Just say that again, please.
We need a cold open. We don't have a cold. You surprisingly made it through this entire episode without making a mistake. So we need a cold open for this episode.
And this is Gaytriarchs?
That's your cold open?
Fuck off.
Gavin, we're usually on top of things here at Gaytriarchs, but
we
missed Father's Day.
We
missed talking about it beforehand. We missed preparing anything for it. We are two father families, and we did absolutely nothing. Father's Day was this past Sunday. But we're recording ahead of time, but we didn't think about it. We're a mess over here at Gaytriarchs, but we want to wish all the listener out there Happy Father's Day.
Yes, for those who celebrate. But then also, isn't that sort of doesn't that indicate where we are on the celebrating Father's Day continuum also of being like, listen, I've got no time. I don't necessarily want another barbecue set. And whoops, it just crept up on me because that's how June is.
I feel like it's also our brand too, so it makes our listener feel consistent, like they're taken care of. That we prepare nothing, we do nothing. We're really bad at.
We're doing the best we can. Listen, when we get massive corporate sponsorship, then we will think about things like calendars and in advance. But for now, we're just doing the best we can to keep our heads above water. So.
But last week was the Tony Awards, and you and I, listen, we often, our poor listener, if our listener is not a Broadway fan, we're sorry, but we want to take a couple of minutes just to talk through our thoughts because, listen, it's the gay Super Bowl. We want to talk a little bit about it. And so you watched the Tony Awards, I assume? I
did. And my overall takeaway was that it wasn't a sensational show, but it was very good. And I thought Cynthia Erivo stepped up for being a host.
She did great.
She's not a dancer, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. Who can dance in those 8-inch heels she walks around in? I don't understand how she walks in those things at all. Yep. But she sang the shit out of it. And that's what we know her for. And, her opener of sometimes you just need a song. She's like, listen, this is what I have to give you. And she delivered. I thought she was really great. And
she's a good host too. I feel like being a host is not a skill that everyone has.
True.
Everyone thinks if you're just a really good whatever, you could host a show. No, you fucking can't.
Not everybody can.
No, she did a really good job. Listen, I am a little bit of a theater purist, but as a director, get very frustrated when I see shows that just use video screens. And the Tony Awards have never done that. They've used it supplementary to video screens. This year, the entire set was video screens. And then if you noticed, in scene transitions where a curtain would go up, the video screen would do a digital come up. Oh, God. That kind of shit bugs the fucking life out of me.
I'm sure they in the long run, they think they're going to save $1 billion on that video screen that they made, and they think they'll be able to use it for the next 20 years. But also, I don't understand. How is it that, say, Dead Outlaw had that little platform, that truck that came out and the band played on that? I was watching that thinking, did they hoist that onto a semi-truck and just drive it across Times Square? And that's how they did something like that, right? They don't build a new set.
So what they do is for those kind of anything that's flown, they have to have obviously pre-rigged. But when I did the Tonys, it was when they're doing the set before you, literally from the street, they're loading in the next set onto the deck. They lose it, and then it goes back onto the trailer, and it goes back to the theater during the awards. It's the same thing with a cast. We would come out, we would perform, and then in costume, we would get on a fucking Greyhound, and they would cart us back to the theater. So it's a wild
4 blocks. When in reality, you should have just walked back to the theater, probably. But which that would have been hilarious to see the cast of Shrek in full costume regalia walking across Times Square, and also nobody would even look at you sideways because they're just there's some more characters walking across Times Square.
When we performed at the Macy's parade, we were supposed to get bussed back, but there was some issue with the bus. It couldn't go, whatever. So a lot of us were we're 20 blocks away. Yeah. So we walked back to the theater up 9th Avenue in our costume. That was really funny. But as far as the awards, listen, we could go on a deep dive. We won't. But I will say something great a couple weeks ago was Maybe Happy Ending. And I'm so glad it swept and did as well as it did. I am not necessarily a fan of Audra in
Oh, really?
Gypsy.
Okay.
And I know
Okay.
it's a little bit of a touchy subject. There's a lot of variables here.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are like, who cares about her voice when the acting is this? It's not for me, but I'm very happy for all the winners and all the people who are nominated. It was fun to see friends. I'm sure you have friends that were nominated.
Yep.
So it was a great show, and we're always happy that theater is still alive as of Tuesday, January 10th, or June 10th when we're recording this. So
you know what, on the Audra factor, I was pulling for her to win Best Actor because we do say Best Actor, right? Do we say Best Actress? I've already
I think
lost
it's actress.
track.
Yeah.
And but I did think, oh gosh, I wonder how the rest of the world is going to watch this, because it was a performance that's not show busy polish like you expect it to be. Even that number, even when you've just got a big old brassy belter on it, which she is not a brassy belter. And but there was the raw emotion that woman exudes on stage is just untouched. It is it is remarkable.
We love her. So let's move into gay dad topics.
Let's do it.
I can't believe I'm going to suggest this, but I was thinking this the other day, and I thought this would be helpful for our listener, which is whenever you witness a parent parenting their child in real life, it is always such a great window, I feel like, into how other people do things, because I think we assume how other people do naps or bedtimes or dinner time. But when you actually hear it or you get to see it, I feel like it's really helpful, at least to orient you into what other people are doing, whether that's to quell your fears that you're doing it all wrong or whatever.
Or the schadenfreude of being able to watch somebody else fuck it up even more than you are.
100%.
And so you're like, great. I guess I got this watching that idiot do it. So.
That's the best. Yeah, I was having a conversation at a birthday party with another parent. She was telling me about how they do dinner time. And I was like, this is fascinating. This is absolutely not what we do, but it is interesting to hear. So anyway, I wanted to say, let's talk about our bedtime routines with our kids, because that to me is one where I feel like, are we doing this right? And so I was like, why don't you and I tell our listener how we do bedtime and see if that is helpful. Now, again, our kids are so fucking different in ages, so it's going to look very different. But I'll tell you how we do ours. So we have a 5 and a 3-year-old. So our 3-year-old's bedtime is 7:30 p.m. That is when we walk up the stairs. So we walk up the stairs, usually kicking and screaming, usually mad at me. And the first thing we do is we take off our clothes and we get in our PJs. That's our first line of attack. It's usually followed by some crying and some kicking on the ground. And then we pee. We have to make sure we pee. And then we brush our teeth. We do our flossing. We have like the little animal flossers. And then we go into her room and we sit and we read 2 books. That is our limit. That is all. And we let them choose the books. We read 2 books. And then as soon as it's done, I say goodnight. I walk her to her bed. She screams that she's not tired. She falls on the ground. I turn off the light and then I walk out of there. And then she comes out a couple times and says, I need water, I need whatever. But that's the general. How
have you not put a glass of water into the lineup there so she doesn't come out asking for one?
Oh, babe, you're so cute that you think that would stop it. She has a water bottle in her bed, but if it's not filled to the very top, that is a reason she comes out, right? So that's my 3-year-old. My 5-year-old is similar. We walk up the stairs, we get into our PJs right away, we pee, we brush our teeth, we floss our teeth, we go into our bed. He likes to come into our bed and read 2 books, again, max 2 books, and then we turn off the light, and my 5-year-old likes to cuddle. So we cuddle for 5 minutes, and then we walk to his room. We put him in bed, we turn the light off, and we say goodnight. So that is our bedtime routines.
Do you talk during cuddle time, or is it like
it's like a conversation
your day? Or
no, it's usually the best time. It's the time you actually get to talk to your kid. It's in the dark. He's like kind of just laying there, and we're like, "What do you think about monkeys?" He's like, "Yeah, monkeys." You know, it's like all these like really great connections. So that's our bedtime routine. What is a bedtime routine like for preteens?
Well, May I just go back to what you were saying and not judging it all? Actually, I think that was very relatable. No, I think it was very relatable. One of the things that we did was having some bedtime songs and saying prayers. Not that we're particularly religious people, but no, listen, I mean, it isn't about Jesus. It's more just like the routine of being like stopping. You know, I would just as easily be like, tell me 3 things about your day that were good, or tell me something good, bad, and weird about your day. And having that like connection time. And then also, yes, David, thinking about gratitude and thinking about 3 things that, you know, made you happy or how you helped somebody. and that would kind of be in our routine. But then I do miss those days, singing a little song to them and the songs that we would sing. Do you always sing bedtime songs or not?
No. Well, so when they were younger, I have an original song written for every part of their day. I had like a bath song, I had a drying off song, I had a go to bed song. Like we had written and sang songs, and they've just since gone away, right?
Yeah.
Like they get older, and I used to sing. I used to hold my daughter, and she used to say, I have a recording of it on my phone, sing the song, and I would just sing "You Are My Sunshine" every single night. And then at one night, she didn't want that anymore, and
and you just forgot about it, and it just went away.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next thing I'll talk about, but I know you still want to talk, is like how things go away. But yeah, no, I don't sing anymore.
Well, okay, so for our routine, we definitely, my son is
and how old are your kids?
They are 12 and 13. So I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader, or as of the airing of this, they are now in summertime. And oh my God, I have a 7th and a 9th grader. But mainly my son is really good about being like, hey, I'm done. Night. I mean, mid-movie, mid-something. We don't watch a lot of TV. That's not to say we're screen free by any stretch of the imagination, but like I was just using that as an example. Even on a Saturday night, he might hit 8:30 and be like, yo, I'm done. And he'll just go upstairs. There have been a couple of times, I'm going to go back and forth here a little bit. There have been a couple of times that my daughter, who now tends to aim for about 9:15, 9:30, and she's a nighttime showerer. She finds it disgusting that the boys in her life, would ever go to bed without showering at night. And she looks at us with yet another reason that she looks at us with disdain and disgust. But she takes a good 45 minutes to like shower. She often is, I know that she's not even in the shower and I can hear the water running because she's just on her damn phone. Yeah. So then I will phone bank her from downstairs, and on the 7th call, she'll finally answer because it's disrupting her Spotify playlist that she's listening to. Anyway, so she's up there. But I definitely make her go up the stairs by 8:30. And I mean, she does her thing. And my son, my partner has been recently sharing, what is it? I mentioned this in an episode a couple of weeks ago, has been looking at the little videos that CBS creates of On the Road. Do you know what I'm talking about? They're little
it was your
stories.
Something Great.
Yes.
It was your Something Great.
So Todd does that at night, at bedtime, with at least my son. He often forgets to do it with my daughter because frankly, it's already so late. We're like, just go to fuck to bed. And anyway, gosh, it sounds so unregulated, but I mean, it's kind of like,
but you have older
son,
kids, like you don't have to
8 p.m. 8 p.m. He's walking upstairs, brushes teeth, in bed, and we still kind of do a little bit of a gratitude at the end of the night, and I
mean, it wouldn't be Gavin's kids if there wasn't some gratitude.
My daughter, she would be horrified to know that I'm sharing this, but she will still let me read to her, and I always want to get in. I want her to get in bed sooner so that we have some time to do so. My son's. Also, because she puts her feet down and she won't read during the day unless it's an actual homework assignment. And so she's like, I'll do it tonight. So if she has time, she will read in bed. But we're still reading that Cerulean Sea book that I also mentioned months, I don't know, a year ago, because we have had the book out for like 2 years. But she will let me read to her, which I enjoy, if it's not already 9:00. Because if we are past 9:15, Daddy only has a solid 35 minutes of TV time in front of him, and then I will pass out.
And then he's asleep. Yeah,
then he's
exactly,
asleep. So I want my time as well. So as she gets older, our quality time actually dissipates a little bit. But.
Yeah. Well, I think this is helpful. When I was talking to this friend about their dinner time, I was like shocked at some of the things she was saying, and that it was just great to orient, especially because
what were those shocking things?
Well, it wasn't important to me initially, but it was very important to my husband that everyone sat at the dinner table and ate a meal together every night.
I agree with that.
I never did that. I never grew up doing that. I would eat on the couch. I would eat my husband and I would eat on the couch before we had kids. It was very important to him. So I went along with it. I think it's great. But this parent was like, oh yeah, like we cook 3 different meals, one for the kids, one for me, one for my husband.
No,
I will eat over the sink while my husband's eating in the other room, and my kids have run and they have to have mac and cheese. I was like, oh, we are a 1 meal family.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not being I'm not being
I will,
egotistical.
because I don't know this person.
No, but I'm saying I don't mean to be like, oh, we only cook one meal. My kids don't eat it. They're mad that I cook them pork and broccoli or whatever. But like we were very much in the beginning, like we cook one meal and we all eat it, and we don't make them eat it.
Yep.
But that's dinner. And so, but anyway, it was shocking to be like, oh yeah, she's like, my husband will eat on the couch by himself. I'll eat over the sink. My kids will eat somewhere. So I just think it's good to like talk this things out. Not even just to be like, oh, my routine is better. But some of us, like bedtime especially, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this the right time? Should I be? Is this how I'm supposed to be doing it? One of the things, this actually might qualify for a moment of awe.
Oh no.
So, you know how we talk about all the time, like the changes your kids go through are all these small ones.
Yeah.
And there's never these big moments, like graduation, I guess, is one. But like you just realize, oh, I don't sing to my kid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That moment is over. One of those happened the other day, and I got to witness it in real time, which is rare. So when one of our streamers is, Paramount Plus.
Sure.
Because that's where all the Paw Patrol is, whatever. And so my son has always called it Caramel Plus because he thinks it's called Caramel Plus. And he always has called it Caramel Plus. Well, he can now read. As of like the past 6 months, he is a voracious reader. He's in kindergarten. They've learned to read. And so it came up on the TV screen. He's like, I want to watch Caramel Plus. And so it came on, and the logo has the name Paramount Plus. And as it was up, he went, Caramel. And he looked at it and he went, oh, Paramount Plus.
Oh, and just like that.
And I watched it in front of me. Like you don't ever get to have that moment. I almost started crying, but I had to take a break and once you make fun of me, because you made fun of me the one time I cried on this podcast. But it was wild to see those tiny changes. The word that your kid misspells or missays and then says right. I got to watch it change, and it was kind of devastating, but also very sweet.
That is very relatable. I do remember when my son used to call ketchup cup shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he said cup shit for quite a while. And we all laughed about it. And in fact, my daughter was also laughing at him about it. And finally he wisened up and was like, wait a minute, you're all laughing at me. And I kind of feel like I remember that moment where he was like, oh, I'm onto this now. I don't like you laughing at me. And so that was the only time I can remember him like making a shift from what was to what is. And bye-bye cup shit.
Yes. We are obviously just talking out of our assholes, and this episode is already going to be too long. But before we move on to our news of the week, I want to remind you guys that we have our Gay Dads Gaytriarchs listener meetup co-hosted with Men Having Babies happening this Saturday next Saturday, June 28th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Hecksher Playground, which is the southeast side of Central Park. Please come. If you are a listener, if you are an ally, if you are a parent, if you are a non-parent, if you're hearing the sound of my voice and you are in the New York City area, we would love, love, love to see you. We're going to have a bunch of rainbow balloons and some middle-aged gay men yelling at their children. You can find us. Gavin and I will be in our yellow Gaytriarchs t-shirts.
And please come say hi to us too.
Please,
don't just, by the way, don't just show and go. Like show up and, come get a water from us. We'll have branded water, and 1 out of every 100 water bottles will be full of vodka. So just give that a try.
It's a little raffle.
We can't wait to meet you IRL. That will be super fun. And give us hugs. It's probably going to be hot and sweaty. Not just because, but just come get a hot, sweaty hug from us, okay?
Yeah. There's no good news in the week, but Gavin found the one piece of good news.
Very little, yes. We, as America's finest news source, try to scour the interwebs for something to make us feel good about our lives. And Gina Ortiz-Jones is the new mayor of San Antonio, but she's gay. I mean,
I'm sorry,
gay. I'm sorry.
She's a mayor. Oh, Eric.
Congratulations, Gina Ortiz-Jones. We love that we have you representing the
We need fighters on the
San
inside.
Antonio. Yes.
We need them on the inside. Good Lord.
Please.
I mean, I need somebody on the inside, if you know what I'm talking about.
Speaking of the DILF of the week, I know that you're looking at the notes in front of us at the same time. I mean, doesn't that character immediately make you feel a little something inside?
Well, you know this is an audio platform, Gavin, and people have no idea what you're talking about, right? I think he was one of our top. We did a top 3 like cartoon characters.
Hot cartoon characters, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway, it's Riley's dad from Inside Out, which is hilarious to me that everywhere I looked, he has no name. He's just Riley's dad.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
But
and
he's got that like
yes.
mustache dad vibe, like young dad. Yeah.
But hot dad bod. And Kyle MacLachlan is the voice of Riley's dad. And I found some footage of him basically saying, I've never been seen as so hot as when I was a cartoon character. But it is true. I would say that Riley's dad is our DILF of the week. Thank you, Kyle MacLachlan, for giving voice to our hot DILF. Speaking of hot DILF...
Is that the transition you want to make?
It's time for our top 3 list.
Gaytriarchs top 3 list. 3, 2, 1.
This week it is my week. It is the top 3 toys you disappear. I have young children. They are going to birthday parties nonstop. They have birthday parties themselves. We have a lot of toys in and out of this house. These are my top 3 toys that will not see my children's eyes. They will not make it through the door. They will go right to the
really? These
garbage.
are things that never even made it through the door.
These are things that I will not let my children have because it inconveniences me. Number 3 for me is a toy that needs me. If this is something that you need a parent to do with you, I'm not interested. This is not for me. I don't want this.
Can you give an example?
Well, it's often like these board games that have like thousands of pieces. Well, if you get a blue card, it's these cards here. But if you have it is like, because you're trying to navigate. Because 5 and 3, these kids, like, they're knocking pieces over. The piles are spilling. Where do I put this card? That kind of stuff. Like, if you need me to mitigate all that stuff, it's going right in the fucking garbage. Number 2 is anything from the dollar store. Listen, I get it's expensive to make these goodie bags for these kids' birthday parties, and we all go to the dollar store. We all get the little Play-Dohs and the little toys because they're cheap and we can put them all in. They're going right into the garbage. They are. I don't want those little. They don't bring me any joy.
No.
They don't bring my child any joy.
No.
All my kids do is fight over them. So number 2, dollar store, anything. Number 1. I don't care what size. I don't care what color. I don't care who gave it to them. It could have been the Prince of Egypt that gave them to this. If you bring slime into my house, a cup of slime, that is going right into the garbage. Slime, for those of you who don't know, it'll stain everything you have. It will stain your fingers. It will leave an oily residue on the floor. We had an oily part of our floor for years because somebody played with slime on the ground. So number 1, slime. What about you?
I definitely have the crossover on the slime. That was my number 3. But I do want to make the disclaimer that in this topic for me, it was things that I disappeared from underneath my kids' vision, basically. Okay. Yep. So they did play with these things and then suddenly went, wait a minute, where was that thing? Okay. So number 3 for me, slime. Whenever I can, I would let them play with it for a little bit, but it conveniently was disappeared quickly. Number 2 for me, we had this toy. I don't know if they make it anymore for babies. And it's this rolling monkey that the monkey's sitting on a ball and it rolls like a BB-8 from Star Wars where the head is always at the top. And it's meant to be this thing that probably encourages kids theoretically to crawl. So it kind of want to chase the thing and it always stays upright. But it had a voice to it that would be like, chase me, that kind of thing. But the worst part of it was it would say, again. So it would sit there silently. And if you ignored it, it came to life again a minute later or so. My kids loved that thing, and it got disappeared in the middle of the night because I didn't need to hear again.
It got disappeared
again. And then finally, the one thing that I disappeared in the middle of the night, it was very surreptitious and quite the Mission Impossible, was we had one of those Thomas the Train tables that had the drawers underneath that you build the train on top, and it's a nice big platform and everything. And I really did feel like I started to watch my kids be less creative because they were always stuck on that table to build their trains, as opposed to like building it over books and under the furniture and But yet they loved it. I mean, I always said to them, I think we should get rid of this. No. Well, I made it disappear, and I completely lied to them. I looked at them and said, there was a broken wheel, so we needed to send it away to get fixed.
I thought you were going to say there was a break-in at the house and they stole just this item.
That would have been way funnier.
A gang of toddler thieves.
But I took away their Thomas the Train table, which was it would have been upsetting, except that I lied to them and told them it was just temporary. And conveniently, it never came back with a new wheel on it. So
I love lying to children.
Yeah.
All right. What is next week's top 3 list?
In this vein of actually having to do things with your children, as opposed to things that you disappear on the way in, I want to know, what are your top 3 board games for kids?
Okay, Gavin, I may sound like a broken record, but our next guest is yet another trick I met off the internet.
Come on.
Yes,
Again?
She is a Jacqueline of all trades, an entrepreneur, a software designer, an advocate, a strategist, a business coach, a relocation consultant, a TikTok influencer, and most importantly, a mom of 3. When she started her TikTok account, Darien Goes Dutch, following her journey moving from Colorado to the Netherlands, she also got the attention of a very prominent David F.M. Vaughn, who then lived out his transatlantic fantasies through her entertaining yet practical vlog of what it was like making that huge transition. Welkom bij de show, my new friend and het echte leven, Darien Wilson. Welcome, Darien.
Wow. It's nice to be here.
It is a total delight, and I can't. Please translate whatever nonsense David just spewed at you in some made-up language.
Well, I moved from Colorado to the Netherlands in 2021, so it's been almost 4 years, David.
Wow.
I shared my journey right as I was leaving Colorado, really thinking it was just going to be for friends. And then as I flew across the country and dropped one of my children off at college, it went viral, and I was like, kept checking my phone, for the Target shopping list, and I was like, what? What's happening here? So I'm an accidental TikToks.
But those are always the best accounts where you weren't aiming for, also Gavin is very nervous that we're speaking in Dutch. Moeten we Nederlands praten? Or
nee,
okay.
Geen
No.
Nederlands vandaag, alsjeblieft.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we're just it's funny. I started learning Dutch 112 days ago, according to my Duolingo.
Good job.
But what Duolingo does is they don't teach you this is the most helpful right away. They don't say asking directions right away or hello, how are you? Or I don't speak Dutch. It's I know how to say I don't own 6 pink elephants. That's not going to help me right now. I know lots about animals and colors, but I don't know some basic stuff. So I feel like I'm pretty far away. But I just said, welcome to the show, my new friend. And I also said, should we speak in Dutch? And she said no. So we're not talking about you, Gavin. Don't worry about it. But before we begin, Darien, tell us, how did your kids drive you bananas today?
Okay, so I can't talk about my kids on because they're old enough to tell me not to.
Yes, understood.
I have 2 fully grown kids and 1 14-year-old who is especially sensitive.
Yes.
But I did clear the fact with my 25-year-old that I could discuss the thing that adult kids that live with you do that drives you crazy is take your stuff and not return it. Or like for example, my Dyson hairdryer is always at the bottom of the stairs and not back where it was when it was taken out of my dressing room. So that's the thing that older kids do is, you go to get your whatever favorite lipstick or whatever it is. And I know that was here and it's gone. And that's one of the things that I'm allowed to say.
That you're allowed to, that you've been approved. Yeah.
So as you were seeking approval for that, did that also then engender a little conversation of, so by the way, just don't do this anymore, please? Can you just
what
stop?
I heard was, you can say that because that's not that bad of a thing. That's why I do it, because it's not that bad.
You can't talk about all their upcoming criminal trials against all the felonies that they've been racking up. But it's funny because the 3 of us have kind of a nice wide range of kids. You have kind of adults in the house. Gavin has early teens. I still have kind of young kids, 5 and 3. But what I'm learning is my stuff goes away all the time.
Nothing changes.
The other day, the little top part of the flagpole, we were going to hang out our flag for Pride. And I couldn't find this little clip. And I was like, where did it go? And he was like, I put it in the trash yesterday. I was like, why the fuck did you do? Like, so my stuff is disappearing too, but it's not for the same reason. Your kids are just borrowing from the library. So I have met you in real life. We've been talking for years.
You brought me Fritos. Thank you.
I did. I brought you Fritos when I visited you in the Netherlands. But one of the reasons why I thought you would be such a great guest, you're a lovely person. You are a mom. You get it. You know what I mean? You're an ally. You're a gay ally. You're all the great things that we love at Gaytriarchs. But your journey going from the United States to the Netherlands, it caught my attention in the way that I think a lot of our listeners will enjoy, which is like this, and I want to dive into why, but this desire to like, I can't be in this country anymore. Where do I go? And we all fantasize, oh, I'm going to move to this place and start a new life. But you fucking did it. Like you did it. And so I just want to talk all about the things, but let's go to the beginning. What was the inspiration for you leaving the States in the first place?
So we looked at leaving in 2017. We've been small business owners. Well, I started my first business in 2001 when my oldest was a year and a half old. I started a baby wearing company. I manufactured baby slings. And that business took it from my kitchen table to an international brand. It was also kind of an right place, right time, accidental thing. I did costume work when I was in theater in college. And so after I had my first baby, I really hated the slings you could buy. And so I just sewed one that I thought was prettier, because everything you could buy back then was like teddy bears, and I was like, I don't wear teddy bears, I'm not a baby. So I just had this faux Burberry fabric that I'd bought off like the clearance rack at Joann's, and I just whipped up a sling. It looked like a Burberry sling. And like I wore it around Austin where I lived at the time, and everyone was like, where can I get one of those? And I was like, said to my husband, I think I have a business on my hands here, and he was a software developer. So he built the website, and this was still early days of the internet, and it just took off. And so we sold that business in 2009 and moved to Colorado. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. What were
we were talking about? What was the reason you even thought to move? And 2017.
Yeah. So we've been small business owners. So then in 2009, we sold my baby carrier business. Well, we sold it in 2009. We couldn't sell our house that year, recession.
Yep.
But we sold a business. Yeah, and my husband quit his job, and within 2 weeks, we sold the business. My husband quit his job. My sister got married, and we moved across the country from Texas to Colorado. And we actually were inspired to move to Colorado when we went to London. So we were doing home exchanging because it was really important to me to travel, even though we had young kids. And I was like, well, I can't really afford to get like a hotel and flights and all this stuff. But like, what if we just swapped houses? Because we had this nice house in Central Austin. And so this family in London wanted to be in Austin for her mom's birthday. And I was like, in London in August, and I was like, I love not being hot. Like, this is the best. I was like, why do I live in Texas? I hate it, And so, I mean, there are a lot of things I do love about my home state, but
especially Austin.
But the heat I couldn't take it. And so we decided then to move to Colorado. So we lived there from 2009 to 2021. And honestly, the gun violence for me was the thing that was just, Colorado's got a serious problem. As you know, you're from there. Yep. We lived 20 minutes from Columbine, 20 minutes from the Aurora Theater shooting. And there were 2 school shootings in our community within 3 miles of our house within 8 years. And the last one was at the school next to my child's school.
Wow.
And, it was traumatic. I knew kids who were there who stepped over their classmates' blood. My kids went to swim lessons with their kids. Like I knew them when they were little, and they were high schoolers. And what I learned about gun violence from living in a community where there was a lot of it, and this was a beautiful place to live. This was like
also well educated and liberal.
Yes.
Like this is not necessarily everybody is rootin' tootin' with guns in their
No,
in their
but
pockets.
it was, our county was a more conservative. red county, but we were in like a purple area. But it was an affluent, educated area, and very safe. Like you could forget your garage door open and your bike wouldn't get stolen out of it, kind of thing.
But at school, you might not.
You might get shot. And
Yeah.
every day I dropped my kids off at school, and every day I thought, I hope I'm picking them up at the end of the day today.
Jesus, that's awful.
And it was like, it wasn't theoretical because I knew people, it wasn't, you start to think, at first you think like, statistically, that's not going to happen to me. And then it like gets closer and closer and closer. And you're just like, actually, that could happen to my child. We had 2 different incidents within like a couple months where they said, come get your kid from school due to gun violence. The other one was this woman flew from Florida to Colorado because she was obsessed with Columbine. And anyway, that was, and to be fair, I worked to change gun violence in Colorado. Like I lobbied for the red flag bill. I was there when it was passed in the Senate, in the state Senate. Like I did things to try to improve where I lived. I tried to bloom where I was planted. And after a point, I was like, really, it was after like all the COVID stuff and the crazy anti-mask stuff and all that I was like, I think I'm ready to pick up on that idea that we were exploring back in 2017. But getting back to the small business ownership thing, we were looking at countries where we could still work for ourselves because we had been doing it. We had started our own software company in 2009, and we just wanted to stay self-employed. So back in 2017, we had looked at Costa Rica and the Netherlands. My husband's a big, software developer. He's a big spreadsheet guy. There was this big complex spreadsheet with like all the different things about where do you want to live.
That's his love language is XLS. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, we looked at Costa Rica, and then we looked at the Netherlands, and in Costa Rica, it's great. And we looked at some places there that are not super hot because they're nice elevation and all this stuff.
Also hot, but okay,
right.
Great.
But there are some higher elevation cities, but I was like, so I don't think I can imagine the rest of my life without pad thai. Like, I want to be somewhere that's more international,
Baby wants noodles, and that's important. Yes.
Yeah. I need like an international community, not just kind of this one thing.
Expat tourists.
And I imagine also the accessibility of moving, because this is something, because the DAPT visa obviously makes it a lot easier. But I have discovered in my own thing is like, I want to move here, I want to move here. No, you can't. No, you just can't move to. You think you could just like,
exactly.
I'm just gonna live in Italy. No, you're not. And that's what I learned is that Costa Rica, Netherlands, Portugal, there's some of these like easier to immigrate for Americans based off of various things. But I've always wanted to live in Scotland, and they're like, yeah, no, we're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ireland would be top of my list because we also home exchanged with a family in Ireland, and I love Ireland. And so if you have the kind of job or the kind of career where you want to work for a company and you get hired by a company and move to Ireland, man, that would be great because English is really nice and the people there are really friendly, and the weather isn't any worse than it is here where it rains all the time and it's, it's very dark in the winter. Hot. It's not hot. Exactly. I landed on not hot. Yeah. So the visa that we are on is the Dutch American Friendship Treaty, which is a visa for entrepreneurs or self-employed people. And that's why we chose the Netherlands.
Yeah. And so curious, how did you tell your kids that this was happening? Because your kids were older, but still in school, right?
Well, actually, one was already at college, and the other one had already made the decision before we made this decision to go to college a year early. So we thought we've only got one child left in the nest, and then it's kind of like not up to you. We've been decided, this is what we're doing. But that child was like, yeah, I'm up for an adventure, and has really, really thrived here. So yeah, I think they knew that they knew our frustration, they knew how much we had worked to improve things. And, I think, they understood us to be, we had already made a big move once, So I think once you've done that, you're sort of like, okay, I have it in me. I don't think I still would say I didn't know how hard it was going to be.
Sure.
It was very difficult when I actually did it. I won't lie. It was really challenging.
And by difficult, meaning like reams and reams and reams of papers that you had to fill out, or time waiting,
No.
or did you have to go through a physical fitness test that would make you climb walls?
Yeah,
Or something?
you have to swim 500 meters in this amount of time, or you cannot go to the Netherlands. Well, that
Speed skating.
Speed skating. Yes, I know. Just to jump in before you answer, Darien, this is partially why I followed your account, because it wasn't this glossy, like, I'm buying stroopwafels in The Hague. Like, it wasn't this, like, picture perfect vision of it. It was like this, like, grind. Like, I remember a video you talking about getting a bank account and how frustrated you were and how hard it was. And I was like, that's the kind of shit I want to see. I want to see, like, the boots on the ground, realistic way. But yes, please.
And I actually do temper what I say on there, because I get so much hate from Dutch people anytime that I say anything the least bit critical. Like, I've literally said something as minor as, like, I miss wearing athleisure wear in public. And I've just gotten like, then go back to your country, you know?
Dutch hate.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right.
Oh yeah. And I figured out that, like, part of the reason my account went so viral is that people loved telling me I was wrong. I was, like, doing it wrong. Whatever it was, opening the window. Like I made one about, like, why don't the windows here have screens? Because y'all, they don't. You know, if you're from America, especially the South, you know that windows they all just have built-in screens. And
for bugs.
they don't here. And they have flies and they don't have air conditioning. They just open the window.
Yeah.
But when I said this, they're like, of course we have screens. And I'm like, okay, but you don't understand.
Not as common. Yeah.
They're not everywhere, and they're not, like, built into the window where it's just part of the window the way they are in the US. But,
Right.
And that's something I feel like you've touched on quite a bit in your videos, is, like, your experience now as the immigrant, as the scary immigrant that we weirdly fetishize in the United States on the right, is like, oh, this boogeyman who's coming to do whatever. And you've said in some of your videos, you're like, I'm now the immigrant here, and there are people who love me and embrace me and whatever, but, like, also there are people who look at me cross-eyed because I'm the immigrant, and you've never really felt that before. Yeah.
You feel like you have to be 100% perfect all the time because 350 million people are standing behind you. And if you say something rude, then people are like, that American said blah, blah, blah. It's this weight, you know, of being representative of whatever group you're part of, that I know lots of other groups, lots of other people have that experience throughout their lives. And for me, it was a new experience at 50.
Gay people very much have that experience. And I think it gave, and tell me if you agree, gay parents. I am constantly feel like I have to have the best kid. I have to be the most on time. I have to be the I have to have the best. I do. I have the best. I have the best kid.
Because we're ambassadors.
Yes, but we are ambassadors. But we're also trying to play in your league. We're asking if we can play on the team, so we have to prove our worth, which shouldn't be. I should be allowed to be just as shitty as a parent as a straight person,
which you are.
I wish I had pretty terrible. Yeah.
But we aspire to be the best we possibly can for that very reason. I think you're exactly right about that.
Yeah, and that's the feeling. Is like, just as an example, another person on the Daft visa was asking, will I be allowed to stay here because I got a ticket for having my dog off the leash? You know, like you have the smallest infraction and you think, is that mark against me going to make them lose my file when I apply for, you know? And I've had Dutch people say, like, that would never happen here. But it's like, you don't want to take a chance, you know?
Especially as the world changes, and, you know, how many times have we said that would never happen here? That would never happen. I'm not gonna say his name. He would never do that. And then he does. So, like, yes, I think you're right to, like, especially because, you know, like, I am not, like, owed anything being here. So I'm trying to do all the right things. Even people here who are here legally are struggling because they're getting sent to random fucking countries. So I get it. I get that weird pressure.
In your effort to be the model citizen, in your the Stepfordization of your Dutch life, does the good outweigh the bad?
Yeah. Now that I've been here almost 4 years, I'm really happy here. And we recently went back to the US, as I mentioned, the tech capital of the world that we were visiting. And I had a nice visit, but I came back, and and I was like, I'm happy here. This is my home now.
Mhm.
I have friends here. My neighbors are wonderful. It's just a comfortable pace of life for me.
Mhm.
But I am in a new job, and the thing that's been a real challenge for me as an immigrant is making, being comfortable with making mistakes all the time,
Mm-hmm.
being comfortable, but just getting used to like, yep, I screwed that up. I'm going to screw up again, with the language, with the culture. Just, I'm always putting my foot in my mouth, I feel like, with just doing something wrong that I don't know any better until I say something. And it's like, oh,
Right.
so now I have a new job, and it's been a bit of a learning curve, but it's good. But
Because I think we all assume when you move to a country where the language spoken is not your language, that is going to be the hardest thing. But you realize that like you're saying, these like weird cultural things that you just
Mhm.
don't know. Like, no, people do this, and when you don't do that, I follow a couple different Dutch accounts that are geared, I think, towards Americans looking at, and one of them talks a lot about that. Be like, in the Netherlands, we would never blank. We always blank.
Mhm.
And you're like, fuck, how did I know? I didn't know that. And like you're saying, like the
Right.
more those build up, you feel like, oh, all I do is screw up. Does everybody hate me?
And then sometimes when you encounter like something, you're like, is that a cultural difference, or is that just this person or this
Mm-hmm.
family or this entity that's doing this thing that I'm so unaccustomed to? Like, sadly, my neighbor passed away, and we went to the funeral, and they said, bring a candle or a rock. And I was like, is this like
A
a
what?
Dutch thing to bring a
Are we
rock?
gonna
Like
break
what,
windows with this? What are we
And
doing? Are we
like a
Yeah.
causing
cinder
violence?
block or like
Yeah.
a
Well, I
perfect
was
little
like,
round smooth
what
one?
kind of candle? Like,
Like, are we talking Bed Bath and Beyond? Like
Yankee
what
cam
are we talking about? Our
Yankee
Yankee linen? Like, where are we
well,
going
pumpkin
I
with
ended
spice
this?
up buying a
latte.
Yankee candle. I bought a Yankee candle because I didn't know what else to get. And then it
Oh
was
no!
like, if I was in
That said,
Texas,
like
I would get
sweet
one of
melon
those, like,
cream or something.
no, in Texas, I would know where to buy one of those, like, tall, skinny candles with, Maria on it or whatever, but
The dollar store, like Catholic
Yes.
candles.
they
Yeah,
have them in
yeah.
the grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or you could
Or the
even
ones
get
with Ruth
like,
Bader Ginsburg, preferably. But yes.
exactly,
Uh-huh.
those.
Yes.
Yeah, I would know where to get that in the US, but here I don't know where do you buy those? You
Right.
can just get them
Yeah.
at the grocery store in Texas, but I don't know the religious candle store location. And I asked multiple Dutch people, and they were like, I don't know. So,
Yeah, because then you're like, is this just a weird fucking person who wanted a linen candle from Yankee Candle, or is this like a Dutch thing I'm missing?
And
Yeah.
also, wait a minute. You were able to find a Yankee candle in the Netherlands?
yeah, that's the other reason I got it, because I found one and I was like, well, I know that smells nice, so I'm getting that one.
And so did you screw up? Did you show up at the funeral and
Yeah, I
everybody...
was the only one.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, just like put it over
Oh.
there, like,
Everyone
gonna
else
be
is
real
holding
quiet and
cinder
sit.
blocks, and you're
Rocks.
showing up and they look at you like you're the fucking idiot.
No,
Oh,
other
that's
people
so.
brought candles, but they had the kind that in my mind, I was like, I know what it should look like, but I have no idea where I would get that
Oh,
here.
they brought like St. Teresa candles.
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
they were just plain,
Not the
but they were
peppermint
like,
schnapps, like swirl 3-wick. Yeah.
Okay.
but there's just so many cultural things. And then
Yeah.
in that case, according to my Dutch friends, that was just like those people. That wasn't a Dutch
Right.
thing
It
at
wasn't
all.
a Dutch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to spend a semester in college studying in Paris, and I was studying it at the time in the before World War I.
Yeah.
When the European Union was just a glint in people's eyes, but I was literally studying the formation of the European Union, and my favorite book was this book with nuances about the different countries that were originally part of the EU. And there were chapters about how the Dutch are so different from the Belgians, or so different from the Germans, and I would read this and be like, I would screw all of this up. It was like those who leave their curtains open, and those who, like, one culture keeps their curtains open and one culture keeps them closed, and they each think they vilify the others for being satanic worshipers, for doing it the opposite. It's
I feel like I just saw a video on that on TikTok about the Dutch government situation the collapse, as they're calling it. They were talking. There was like a funny video where maybe did you share it? You might have shared it. Where like he was talking about like don't compare us to the Belgians.
Exactly. I was going to say the Belgians. When you compare the Dutch to the Belgians, it's like University of Texas and A&M. It's like you just cannot. If you said like they're both Texas teams, people that like knives out,
Yeah.
we can't have that.
Which is
So,
how the French shit on the Belgians too. Like, poor
oh, the poor
Belgium.
Belgians.
They have their waffles. They're good. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
like,
that's
we got
right.
our
Their
waffles.
chocolate.
We're totally happy.
They have the best chocolate around.
They have
Yeah.
they have bad karma now for like destroying all of Africa, frankly. So anyway, what made you decide to put your kids in a Dutch school versus an international school?
At 10 years old, you have the opportunity to learn another
Heck
language.
yeah.
And when else are you going to have
Yeah.
that experience?
That's a
And there's so
no-brainer.
many benefits to being bilingual beyond just the practical aspect of it. Like, it's just really good for your brain to know more than one language. And it's been really incredible to watch, especially as I've struggled so mightily.
You're learning alongside your kid, and your kid
Yes.
undoubtedly is rolling their eyes at you constantly.
It's not duh, Mom. God.
Yeah. Well, we moved at the beginning of the school year, so like August, and by like January, February, my child was reading almost on grade level in Dutch.
Wow.
Was
Holy
reading,
shit.
so was in fifth grade, and was reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid books
Wow.
by like January, February in
Wow.
Dutch, and is so fluent now that Dutch people say there's like no accent.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
So, and of course, Dutch is not the most practical second language to know, but like I said, there are many benefits to being bilingual. And in this case, we live here, so it's good. But I think the knowledge that you can learn another language and that you can do it so quickly is one that you don't lose. That if you want to learn another language later, you're like, I mean, how hard can it be? I've already learned a second one,
Right.
Like,
it is so true. I learned Spanish in middle and high school, but like in 2 years, I was fluent. I went from Spanish 1 to AP Spanish language because I skipped literally 3 or 4 years of Spanish because I was like, I get this. Like my brain, I think it's when you're like a musician too, like your brain understands just like the mechanics of it, even though maybe you don't learn every single word that exists. You just go, oh, I see how this works. And I feel that way learning Dutch now. Like I speak Spanish, and when I was in Colombia a couple months ago, day 1 and day 2, I was like, fuck, I know these words, but just my mouth, it's just not connecting. But then the last day I was there, everything locked in. And I was like, oh yeah. And I stopped thinking about it. And like the mouth, like it all just came. And so I'm finding that with Dutch now, where I'm struggling with, God, how to
talk about pink elephants,
how to talk about pink elephants and rosa elephant. But also the accents. And like, I want to make sure that like, I don't say Hain as a Hain, you know what I mean? Like trying to get those words out. But then after a while, when I do like, let's say 5 lessons in a row, my brain starts to turn a different way where I'm not like intellectualizing it, where I'm starting to understand the patterns and stuff. Now, listen, I still feel fucking crazy about the order of words sometimes, and also the et and de. But like, I feel like, like you said, once you get it, and that's something that when we consider our international move, our kids are so young that I think, 5 and 3, I think they would do what your kids did, which is like within a couple of months, they're good. And they're going to be the ones translating for us when we're at the store trying to speak Dutch.
Well, no, that's funny that you mentioned that, because actually my child cannot translate. It's like 2 tracks.
Oh.
It's like we're on the English track or we're on the Dutch track. And when I say, what does this mean? It's like, how
do you say it in your language, Mom?
Yeah. No, for real. It doesn't like, there's like, so I think like there's an actual thinking in the other language, and they're kind of like there's not a bridge between yet. Whereas I'm always translating in my mind. And so, which means I'm not as fluent.
Right.
But I can easily translate lots and lots and lots of things.
In terms of translating, then I'm dying to know what it has parenting culture been like in a translation for you. Have you, what do you realize you and your kids missed out on, not growing up there, but how is the parenting culture different?
I love the parenting culture here because, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s in the US, where like Gen X, our parents had no idea where we were. We were out on our bikes. We were like those kids in ET, you
Mhm.
know, like just
Just
mom, we
less
don't know where
aliens,
mom and
hopefully.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we were just out on our bikes and nobody knew where we were. And that's what it's like for kids here. And I just think that gives you such an internal sense of confidence to know that you can handle things when you've been independent and been able to go out on your own. And because it's so safe here and the bike paths are so safe, the kids here just have much more independence at a much younger age. And I really wanted that in the US. And in the kind of suburban community where I lived in particular, that couldn't exist because you're that your kid would get the cops called on them if they
Oh.
were
Mhm.
riding their bike to the store at
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
You know, the cops would be called. What is happening? There's a
Uh-huh.
child alone, you
Right.
know, and they just had to be just watched at all times.
Mhm.
And I think that also gives them a sense of paranoia, you know,
Mhm.
of like, I should be afraid all the time, you know,
Mhm.
versus just this, you'll handle it. If you get a flat tire, you'll figure it out. And of course now they have the benefit that we didn't have back in the 70s and 80s of having a cell phone to call
Yeah.
mom when they get a flat tire or
Right.
their
Yeah.
bicycle chain breaks
And
or
you want to say,
something.
just figure it out. No, don't call me. Just figure it out.
No, I'll come get you if your bicycle chain breaks. But
We've said this before on the show, which is and other people way smarter than us have said it, which is like we tend to overprotect our kids
yes,
in real life and underprotect our kids online, and that is I
yeah,
think a good example of like we all did. I mean, being Gen X, like I was the same way. Like I grew up like the front porch lights when they flash, that means it's time to come in. We would like I
yeah,
remember we snuck out to like lakes and swim like we used to climb in Florida, by the way. Florida, we would climb into the sewers. We'd go on our stomachs.
oh yeah,
We would
Oh, yeah.
slide into the sewer
Ugh.
system, and we would
But
walk.
awesome.
We would walk around the tunnels that connected lakes in Florida, which means alligators. And
Amazing.
my
ooh,
parents
yeah,
had no idea. Which isn't now. I'm not
right.
saying go play in the sewers, but there is this
No,
like freedom we wish we could give our kids, and it sounds like you found that there. So yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So the parenting culture, the other thing is, so I had some friends from the US visit recently, and from my area in Colorado, it was lovely to see my friends. But some of the things they said kind of brought me back to something that I'd kind of like, I'm a little bit out of that way of thinking, which is just like the competitiveness and the way that the kids are just pushed so hard as
Mm-hmm.
teenagers in high school and stuff to get perfect grades and have all the activities and start a nonprofit before you're
Mhm.
18, and you know
Mm-hmm.
that pressure cooker that my two older kids sadly went to high school in that environment. And I wouldn't say we left to avoid that, and that's not the case, but I just feel like it's so much healthier to not have that, or to have just a less, like, just take it back a notch, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's too much for
yeah.
these kids. They're just getting too much pressure. And I really appreciate, just as an example, so we met with my 14-year-old's teacher. Well, this was actually a year ago, but and the teacher said, doing great, passing all the classes. And I was like, passing? That's a low bar, you
Right.
know? Like, but that's all they expect.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so
That takes a lot of pressure off.
yeah, I think that's maybe a little too much pressure off in my opinion. But
Can we have
you
some
know,
medium pressure? Just like a
yeah,
light pressure
just
from
a
the
little,
east.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They put pressure on themselves, so that's enough. But
Are
yeah.
there plenty of lazy Dutch teenagers out there just on their phones, just watching other people live their
I'm
lives
not going to
also?
publicly address that.
She's like, I'm
I
not
will
talking about
say
that.
that I'm shocked at the tolerance for like kids blowing up trash cans at the park.
Mhm.
Like when it happens night after night during, so New Year's Eve here. So this is like a very orderly society, very organized, very like calm. And then New Year's Eve is like the purge. Like I
Yes.
cannot describe to you, if you haven't been here for it, how insane New Year's Eve is.
It's
Like
the same way in
the
Iceland. We went to New Year's Eve in Iceland, and Iceland is the same way where everyone just goes fucking insane on New Year's Eve. Yeah, yeah.
You know, in Colorado, how there's always, every neighborhood has that one dad that
Yeah.
like goes to Wyoming and buys like $1 million
Yes.
worth of fireworks and like
Yeah.
blows up
Hmm.
the garage. that's every dad here. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just, and so, and literally like kids are blowing their fingers off. They're getting blinded. Like it's terrible.
Oh,
But they,
wow.
for a month before New Year's, they're blowing stuff up in the park. It's like small explosives, and it's just kind of tolerated.
Yeah.
And when I said like it's tolerated somewhere online, I think it was on Threads, people were like, "No, it's not tolerated," and I'm like, "Well, effectively, it is because nobody
Nobody's
stops
doing
it.
anything.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
like if it keeps happening, if they want to catch them, all they have to do is camp out at the park and."
Yeah.
They'll bust somebody, because it's every night.
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
my poor dog. It's awful.
Oh yeah.
So
So
yeah.
so wrapping up, I before I ask you our final question, I wanted to ask. I know this is literally your entire life and your entire account and everything. So I'm going to ask you to boil it down to something small. But like for those people in the U.S., gay or straight alike, who are parents and who are have an eye out the door. I'm not saying it's me, but it's me. What is like some like what's the first piece of advice you would give somebody like that who are like, I either don't feel safe here, or I don't want to be here, or I want to be there, wherever that is? What would be kind of like one piece of advice you would tell them?
The one piece of information I would share is the thing that I noticed is that it's not perfect anywhere, that there's no utopia. Everywhere has problems, and a lot of the same problems the US has are problems other places. But for me, the difference is, so I had a pride flag in my yard and it was vandalized in the Netherlands, and that never happened in my more conservative community in Colorado. But the difference here is that there aren't guns to go along with that hatred.
Mm.
Mhm.
And that to me makes me feel a lot safer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say about, for me, the lack of guns. Even though there are a lot of the same problems, there's a lot of divisiveness. As you
Mhm.
mentioned, the government just fell because there's a lot of divisiveness here.
Mhm.
Just like in the US, just like in many other places, Poland just had an election and it was nearly 50-50 also. We keep seeing these very razor thin margins in a lot of these elections. So it's a worldwide issue.
Yeah.
But when you take the guns out of the equation, it's just not as scary. So, as you know, just this week, Jonathan Joss was murdered. He was on King of the Hill and Parks and Rec, and he was murdered in front of his home in San Antonio in a hate crime. And my understanding is that it was an act of gun violence, and he was trying to save his partner. Um, and it's not that there aren't hate crimes here. It's not that there isn't bias against people who are different in various ways. In fact,
Yeah.
there is a lot of bias against that. There's a saying in the Netherlands of the tall grass gets cut. You stand out, and I think that goes back to like making all the dikes to hold the water back, sorry to bring the word dikes into it right now, but
That's
No. Love
we
it.
need more
love
dikes in the
we
world.
love
Yeah.
dikes in our lives.
Mhm.
No,
We
it's funny
definitely
that is like I follow this account of this guy on YouTube who is an immigrant to the Netherlands, and he talks about that all the time. Like there's this culture of like you don't stand out, versus in the US it's like who can stand out the loudest and the best.
right. So I kind of don't like the don't stand out culture. But at the same time, it's just kind of part of a lot of the things that I do like, so
Absolutely. The gun violence thing is like for sure will outweigh any of that shit. Yeah.
and it's not that they don't have any guns here. People do hunt, people have farm animals, there are guns here. I even talked to an American who immigrated here, and brought guns.
Yeah.
So it's not that they don't exist at all. There's just much, much more regulation on them.
So before we let you go, I want to ask you one last question, which is, when did you earn that parenting merit badge? When did everything go wrong with you as a parent and you just thought, oh God, okay, I'm a mom now?
Okay, so I had to go way back. So
Uh-huh.
I've been momming for 25 years now, but
love it.
I did remember an incident where I was very lucky. My oldest didn't get sick very often. So her first stomach bug
Uh-oh.
she was like 3. And she was, vomiting for several days, but it had been like 12 hours and she had held food down. And I was like, I think we're out of the woods. But I was not super, I know better now. My in-laws were in town and they wanted to take us out to dinner. And I was like, ooh, yay, we're going to go to Chewy's, my favorite Mexican restaurant.
Love it.
So we go to Chewy's.
Oh no.
And we're sitting there. We've got our menus, and we're about to order. We've got our water and iced tea and whatever. And the table next to us is singing "Happy Birthday." And right as they finish, "To you," my daughter projectile vomits the drinkable yogurt that she
Oh
finished
no. Oh,
earlier
not
that
the
day.
yogurt.
Like the pink drinkable yogurt
Oh.
spews all over the floor, and like it was just like the cherry on top of their happy birthday song was
You're
this
like,
like
happy birthday,
you
Nana.
know?
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And my dear late father-in-law dropped like a large bill on the table as a tip, and just like we
Said,
skedaddled out of there. Like,
I'm so
he was
sorry,
like,
but yeah,
"I'm
this is
so
your problem
sorry.
now. This
See you
is your
later." Like,
It reminds me of us on here on the East Coast where we have that first warm day after the winter and it's 70 degrees and everyone's like, oh, we're done. This is amazing. Everyone's in shorts. Everyone's eating al fresco. And then it snows the next day. It's the same
yeah,
thing. It's like, no, we're not quite out of the woods yet. Let's not bring our
exactly.
daughter to the Mexican restaurant. Well, thank you so much for demeaning yourself by being on our stupid little podcast. I have been a fan of yours for years. I've been lucky enough to meet you in real life, and maybe one day we'll be neighbors. But thank you so much for
That'd be
joining us.
cool. Well, let me know
Yes,
if I can help you find a house.
will
Thanks
do.
so much, Darien.
Okay, of course.
I'm so proud of myself that I'm, one, prepared with something great.
Wow.
And two, it's not just me being schmaltzy about my kids.
Wow. Okay.
There is an Instagram profile out there that in a world that is dark and sad, you just need, damn it. In a world that is dark and sad, you just need some escapism of just sheer unbridled joy, right? Well, Daniel Midel, I believe he's French because I've heard him speak a little bit and he definitely has a French accent. So it's Daniel _ Midel, Middel, is a man who hula hoops thrillingly to music and dresses up in not drag, but like
gorilla drag. Gorilla drag. Yeah.
Gorilla drag.
Yeah.
And all he does is hula hoop for an entire song. It's not, I mean, hey, anybody who can hula hoop for like 3 minutes straight, that is impressive. I can't hula hoop for more than 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that it's flashy or fancy. It's just a man embracing unbridled joy of hula hoop and music and frivolity. And my something great is at Daniel _ Midel. Just check him out for just sheer whimsy.
Yeah. No. My something great this week is, it is Pride Month. I'm sure a lot of you out there have been to many, many, many Pride activities and will be going to many, many, many more. We have local prides, we have state prides, we have national prides. Well, I went...
Not according to the president right now, actually. June was declared Title IX month. But anyway, I digress.
Can go, suck my dick. So this past week, we went to North Jersey Pride, which I know sounds like a very narrow lane, but it is my favorite Pride I've ever been to. Listen, there are bigger prides, there are smaller prides or whatever. What I love about North Jersey Pride, it's in this big park that has a kind of a natural amphitheater. It's like this big grass hill where everybody puts blankets down or whatever. And then they have a big stage where they do the normal things. But it is very family focused and not, it's just like there's obviously bounce houses and food trucks and stuff like that for kids. There's like these kid art areas where you can paint rocks and all this stuff. They also have a kids foam party where they have this foam cannon and the kids just fucking eat this shit up. Mm-hmm. They have this, I'm sure you've seen this as a national organization, but they have mom hugs where they have these tents with these women who says I'll be your mom, I'll give you a mom hug, which is just so awesome. Devastatingly beautiful or whatever.
Yeah.
But I said to my husband, and I actually said to him, I was like, do not let Gavin hear me say this. But I said, there is something so beautiful about this space because it sounds cliche to say, but it is so inclusive, this space. I look around and I see fucking beautiful, young, fit people. And then I see monsters. I see children. I see older people. I see clearly straight people who are dragged here by their straight girlfriends. I see everybody and everybody naturally fits in. Mm-hmm. And there's just not a lot of places like that where you look at all of this sea of diversity and you're like, yeah, everyone belongs here. And so I just fucking love North Jersey Pride. The people who put it on do a really good job. And we always have a great time. We put a big blanket out. We get a bunch of trashy food. We listen to drag queens sing Wicked. It was a great event. So North Jersey Pride, that is my something great. And that is our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at GaytriarchsPodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at GaytriarchsPodcast. On the internet, David is at DavidFMVaughn everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge at Hecksher Playground on Saturday between 9 and 12.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll disappear your toys next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.